I cannot believe it's been a year since I did my first Q&A. I never ever thought that I'd be able to do one Q&A and definitely never thought I'd be able to do 9. I cannot believe this, and I only have you guys to thank. Thank you guys so much for all the support and the questions. I really never imagined that you guys would want to know so much about me and ask me questions, so I really do appreciate it, and I encourage asking more questions. So to celebrate for the 1-year anniversary Q&A, I'll be answering 21 questions in this Q&A, so let's get started. Just a quick disclaimer, I do apologize if I do not answer your question, but keep in mind that I will eventually answer your question in an upcoming Q&A, so don't think that I ignored your question or I'm not going to answer it, because I definitely will unless I told you otherwise. So let's start here with question number 1, asked by Chad Anderson. If you could be any of the Radiator Springs townies, who would you be? Now this is a pretty tough question, and it's also a very good question. I'd have to go with Ramon because he always has those cool paint jobs and stuff, so that's who I'd pick myself. Question number 2, also asked by Chad Anderson. What would you do if you walked into your room one day and saw your cars talking to each other? Now this is a pretty funny question because that is a kind of like creepy thing if you walked into your room and your cars were talking to each other, but what I would do is join in on the conversation. Alright, let's move on to question number 3, asked by Sebastian Mateer. What is your favorite version of Mcqueen from the Mater's Tall Tales Diecast line? Now, I'm going to have to go over to the Disney Store side of things right here because I loved the version of Mcqueen from El Matador, and unfortunately Mattel did not make a version of that. Mattel released very few cars for El Matador and Chewie, and the metal El Matador became very rare. The only one that didn't was the Padre that got released. So I always wish that Mattel made an El Matador version of Mcqueen. I think that would be awesome, and that's my favorite out of all the tunes. Question number 4, also asked by Sebastian Mateer. What is your favorite type of candy? I love Hershey's, some great chocolate, like I like buying them at Target, like when I find something, and I just kind of like the breaking off the rectangles and stuff like that. Very good to me. Question number 5, also again asked by Sebastian Mateer. Would you rather live in Radiator Springs or Prop Wash Junction? I'd have to go with Radiator Springs because we know it better, and there's Cars Land, which is essentially Radiator Springs, and it just feels more, I guess, like I know it more than I do Prop Wash Junction, because there's not that much part of the movie that takes place in Prop Wash Junction in both Planes and Planes Fire and Rescue. The first movie, it's off racing in a bunch of different countries. The second movie, it's off at the Piston Peak National Park. So now let's move on. Ross Carts and Planes asks, what is your favorite animal and why? I love dogs because first you can have them as a pet and they're just very playful, fun to be around, and they're just adorable sometimes. I love my 3 dogs I have, and that would be my favorite animal for sure. Also, question number 7 asked by Ross Cars and Planes. From grade 6 to 9, which you are in now, how would you rate each grade on a scale of 1 to 10? This is a pretty tough question, but I'd have to say my 9th grade and 8th grade are my favorite years out of 6 through 9. So I'd have to probably give 9 and 8 out of 10. Although 8th grade and 8 out of 10 as well. The other ones are not as good. They weren't as much fun. So I'd say 7th grade be like a 6 or something out of 10, and 6th grade maybe like 5 or 6 out of 10. It's just that it gets a lot more fun, and you just kind of enjoy it a little bit more as you go through the grade. Next up, Abigail Mateer asks, excluding Mcqueen, Chick Hicks, and the King, who is your least favorite Piston Cup racer? Now this is an extremely hard question for me to answer because I absolutely love all of the Piston Cup racers. Most of their designs are amazing, but if I had to pick one least favorite, it'd be Clutch Aid. I never really liked that racer's colors, and they never really had a team for it, so I just didn't really care for it. It's as simple as that. Alright, Anthony Roy asks, what is your favorite find by yourself in a store? A wonderful question. I really do like this question. And I have this distinct memory from 2006, late in the summer, when I found Lizzie at a Walmart store, and it was just exhilarating for me to find it. I was like 5 years old and I found it, and I don't even think it was supposed to be out that early, and it obviously was because I found it. So it was just really awesome for me to find. I mean, Lizzie was one of my favorites back then, so that would be my top one find by myself. And the next one would probably be when I found the Cars 2 Premiere Diecast at a little shop in New Orleans, Louisiana, like 1 month before they actually were supposed to hit stores on May 16th. So that was also an amazing find. Too bad I wasn't doing videos back then because I would be able to review them all like a month before they actually came out. But that was also a great find. And by yourself, I'm assuming you mean just like me going into the store, because I know my parents were with me when I was 5 years old, but I was actually there. I think you're kind of referring to if my parent found it themselves and then brought it for me. Those were when I actually was at the store. Up next here we have Pixar Lover 03 asking, what are your 5 favorite deluxes this year? Now I believe this question was asked in 2015, but I will answer for 2016 because I think it'll be a little bit more interesting that way. So my top 5 so far would be Cone Teeth Mater. Now there was this video from the New York Toy Fair that was just released showing a bunch of new diecast, and Cone Teeth Mater was one of them. He looks amazing as a diecast. He's got a cone on the roof, 2 cones in his mouth. Very, very awesome. Another one would be the flatbed junk truck from the Paris Parts Market series that will be coming out soon. Just a nice, very detailed deluxe. My third would be Bud, which you saw in the beginning of the video, for the main reason of he's an RV and I absolutely love RVs. The next one would be Walkabout Miles. Now, you may not really know much about this release, but it's basically Miles before he went into the jungle. So he has all of his gear on, but he isn't like damaged and out of gas like he was with the Miles that got released in 2014, the Jungle Miles or the Wild Miles Axelrod. And my last one would be the Rusty Monster Truck that is in the Rusty's Racing series, another very awesome diecast as well. Now those are my top 5 at the moment. Obviously there may be more deluxes coming out in the future, but for at this very moment, those are my top 5. Next up, we have Diecast Reviews asking, if you worked at Mattel, what things would you change there? Another awesome question because I would change a lot. And some of the most important things would be distribution. I mean, I would do my best to make sure that cars made it to every spot that, would be possible to make it to, because I know that some stores in Canada don't receive cars that the United States receives, or Australia receives cars that the United States doesn't receive. Same thing with the United Kingdom or Europe. It's just an imbalance at times. Now right now it's decent. I know Australia, United States, and the United Kingdom have all been able to find 2016 Case D, which is awesome, but Canada is lacking right now, so I feel like there's that little imbalance. So that would be the first thing I changed. Second thing would be release more new cars. And I mean, that's not really a big problem right now, but I think it'd be cool to have more new cars or release ones that collectors have always been wanting. For example, I tried to release some of the cars that were supposed to be released in the past, like the Piston Cup team sets and the RVs. So moving forward now, Sharon Corrigan asks, do you have a pet? Now I already kind of answered this in the beginning of the video, but I do have 3 dogs and I absolutely love them all. Sharon Corrigan also asked, do you like video games? Now, I don't really play video games anymore. I never really played them as a child that much, but I do remember that I had a Wii and played some Disney Infinity a few years ago, but that's really it. And I do like video games, if that's, that's what you're asking. I do like video games, I just don't really play them that much. And Tyler Pickup, aka Starpool, asks, if you had your own Star Wars droid, would he or she be a protocol droid like C-3PO, an R-Series astromech droid like R2-D2, or a BB Series astromech droid like BB-8, and what colors? Now, I don't really know much about Star Wars, but I do know what all three of those droids look like, and I'd have to go with the BB Series astromech that BB-8 is, because I like kind of that rolling kind of fashion with the little disc on the top. I really like that, how it was in the latest Star Wars movie, and I'd have it the colors of RC Cars 5, which would be like red, silver, and black. Sen1987 asks, what do you think of the Railway series? Now, from my understanding, the Railway series is a set of books that relates to the Thomas the Tank Engine series, and I used to watch that show and collect some of the toys that went along with it when I was really young. But as soon as Cars came out, I never looked back and just focused on Cars and didn't collect any more of the Thomas stuff. So I don't really have an opinion about the Railway series. I'm sure it's good because I always used to enjoy Thomas when I was younger, but I do apologize that I don't have much of an opinion about the Railway series set of books. Moving on now, Jacob Vega asks, what was your first Cars 2 collectible? Now, in my previous Q&A, I answered what was my first Cars 1 collectible. So my first Cars 2 collectible was actually a Francesco Bernoulli, a metal one, that I bought off eBay from China in February of 2011. So about 4 months before the movie came out. It was backdoor, and I think I got a few more before the movie came out. I think I bought Fimic Missile, maybe Jeff Gorvette, and like I said earlier, I actually was able to find the premiere diecast, which was like Graham Acer, Lightning McQueen, Mater, maybe 2 more at the shop in New Orleans, Louisiana. Juan Duran asks, if you were to ask Mattel to make any car or plane that has never been released before, which one would it be? Now, I'm a huge promoter of releasing cars that Mattel planned on releasing back a few years ago but never actually released. So my favorite of those would probably be Sid Vanderkamper, which was one of the RVs. He kind of sat in like a baby pool surrounded with plastic flamingos and palm trees, so I think that would be the coolest thing. If they were to release those accessories, that would be even better, but I doubt they would. Now let's move on to question number 18, asked by the Car Guy. Who is your favorite Cars or Cars 2 character? Now, it's a pretty simple question for me. My favorite are Mcqueen and Mater. I mean, you gotta love the main characters, and the producers and the directors of the movie want you to like the main characters. They want you to have the main characters as your favorite. Up next, Cool Cars 95 asks, what inspired you to collect cars? And again, a pretty simple question because I was really young, so I saw the movie and it just hooked me. It just immediately hooked me, and I bought some of the cars. I remember even getting some of those McDonald's cars and the Happy Meals, and it really just kind of went on from there, and it really hooked me. Hugo Likes Cars 30 asks, if you could name your own Cars Diecast series for this year, what would it be and what cars would be in? Some question. It made me think a little bit, and actually recently Collection TV and I were talking, and we were kind of talking about series that Mattel could make, just like your question is asking, and we thought maybe a series about the Motor Speedway of the South would be awesome because they can include some of the RVs, some fans, such as the yellow pickup truck that was a Mcqueen fan that never got released, maybe a non-lenticular version of Wilmer Flats. I mean, there are endless possibilities for that series. It's essentially the LA Speedway, but the first race. Another series that we thought would be cool is a highway series of some sort that would include Bertha Butherswagen, which was another canceled car, The Tuners would be also in that probably. Duff Rex would also be a great re-release. And just some other cars that probably appeared on the highway in the background. Of course, you could also have Leroy Traffic in that series as well. And now let's move on to the last question, also asked by Hugo Likes Cars 30. Who is your favorite pity? Another awesome question here. Now, they've released a lot of pities, and a lot of them are very similar to each other because they're the Piston Cup pities. So I kind of wanted to go out of the box a little bit. And my favorite is probably either Royable or Terry Gone, because they are some pities that are just really odd. Now, I have not reviewed Royable yet, but I cannot wait to do so. Of course, he's the pity on the USS Eisenhower aircraft carrier, and he's just got an awesome design. I love the little accessories that come with him. Same thing with Terry Gong, another cool pity and has an awesome accessory. Before I conclude Q&A number 9, I'd like to talk about some of the future videos I'll be doing on my channel. I never really find a correct moment to talk about this, so I'd like to do so at the end of this Q&A. So to begin, I'd like to kind of talk about the Hot Wheels that I've been finding recently, and I know a lot of you guys are here for just cars. I completely understand that, but for those of you who also enjoy Hot Wheels, I'd like to share some of my cars that I've been finding as well. So first of all, I have found the Stars and Stripes series that is exclusive to Walmart. Now, I really love these cars. I mean, look, I am a big fan, big patriot here, and I love the red, white, and blue on these cars here, and there's 10 of them in the series. I'd love to do a video on them if you guys would like to see that. And another thing that I have for Hot Wheels here is these Marvel cars. We got some of the new Civil War cars. Here we have Captain America, and over on the left here is Black Panther. And I'd love to do a video on these as well if you'd guys like to see it. We also have Daredevil here, which is my favorite. I love the Netflix series. And now let's get over onto cars here. As I showed in the beginning of the video, I will be doing a review of Bud in the next few weeks. We also have this 2-pack case that I ordered off eBay, which is 2-pack case C. That includes Dan Sklarkenberg, Kim Carlins, and Artie and Brian Feetclamp. So I'll be doing a review of that as well. And that's basically all, along with some other reviews that are older, like Royable, Taeda Kodura, and some other things like that. So now let's conclude the Q&A with the question for the audience. This was asked by Hugo Likes Cars 30. I really like this question because it gets you thinking. And that is, again, if you could name your own Cars Diecast series for this year, what would it be and what would be the cars in it? So thank you guys for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the 1-year anniversary Q&A. I really thank you guys for everything, and I encourage you to ask more questions. Thanks again for all the support and for watching. See you guys next time. Bye now. Trees waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go, 'cause I am happy.